Israel and Iran are continuing to trade missiles as European leaders push for a resolution to the escalating conflict in the Middle East. It comes after the White House said Donald Trump will decide within the next 2 weeks if the US will join Israel in strikes on Iran.
Blasting off and bound for Israel, Iran fires back at its rival as both sides trade missiles for an 8th day. Shattered glass and piles of rubble litter the floor of the Soroka hospital, where an Iranian attack injured dozens of people.
It's so sad. I never thought something like this could happen.
Iran claims it was targeting military and intelligence headquarters nearby, but the Israeli government says Iran is using cluster munitions and targeting civilians.
This is terrorism carried out by a state and a blatant violation of international law.
Further north in Holon, residents return from shelters to homes damaged in the bombardment.
This is my house. This is my beauty salon. Was.
Wow.
You see all the glasses. It's all destroyed.
Israel's government has been quick to return fire, conducting overnight strikes in Tehran and attacking Iran's Iraq reactor. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is denying the fall of the Revolutionary Guard is in his sights.
People ask me, are we targeting the downfall of the regime? That may be a result, but it's up to the Iranian people to rise for their freedom.
As the United States weighs up its involvement, the White House has delivered a message from Donald Trump.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Iran responding swiftly, warning the US not to become a third party.
If they would like to get into this war, President Trump will be remembered forever for a war that it was not his war but dragged in, and this will be a quagmire, and this will be hell for the whole region.
As European leaders prepare for talks with their Iranian counterpart in a bid to quell tensions.
Yes, the nuclear issue has to be dealt with, but it's better dealt with by way of negotiations than by way of conflict.
Diplomacy over destruction as the bombings continue.
Well, let's bring in Middle East correspondent Allyson Horn from one of the hardest hit areas in Israel during the past few days.
Well, I'm at a site in a place called Bat Yam. It's in Tel Aviv, where an Iranian missile hit the other day. It hit on the 6th floor of this residential building, and this site has actually been closed. We couldn't get in here until today because emergency services have still been pulling bodies out of the rubble here, including up until yesterday. At least 6 people were killed at this site, and you can see the kind of damage that's being created here. This is why Benjamin Netanyahu says the IDF is trying to destroy Iran's weapons capabilities, including those nuclear capabilities. He has given an interview to Israeli media overnight, claiming that Israel can by itself effectively put out of action all of Iran's nuclear facilities, including the Fordo facility, which has its operations so far underground. It would need one of those massive bombs to try to stop those operations. He's also suggested that if he can bring down the Iranian regime and continue to target Iran, that it would be helpful in trying to bring back hostages in Gaza, given that Iran is the major backer of Hamas.
Australia's embassy in Iran has closed, with the diplomats moved to Azerbaijan. All Australians who can leave the country are urged to do so. Australian officials have also been helping a few dozen Australians leave Israel over the Jordanian border. The Foreign Minister has confirmed defence planes are being deployed to the Middle East to help more Australians out once airspace reopens.
A few dozen Australians on the move out of Israel.
Right now we're off to Amman in Jordan. From there we go to Cairo.
For the 1,200 Australians in Israel who want to leave, it's still impossible to get out by air. So for now, the only path out is by road.
If you want to be on a bus, if you know someone who wants to be on a bus, please register on the portal and we can then be in touch with you for any future buses that may happen.
For the 2,000 Australians who want to leave Iran, the situation is more challenging. Australia's embassy in Tehran was closed this morning.
We do ask people to be in harm's way and we have to consider their safety very carefully.
The consular function, the function that actually supports Australians in difficulty or in danger overseas, is usually the last to go.
Australia's ambassador, Ian McConville, arrived only a year ago.
Salam. My name is Ian McConville.
He's moved with some remaining diplomats to Azerbaijan, to Iran's north. Australians who can safely get to the border are urged to do so.
We are really conscious it is extremely difficult. And I wish it were not so. I wish that we had more capacity to assist.
Defence planes are now being moved to the Middle East, so they're ready to start flying Australians out once airspace starts to open up. Penny Wong discussed the Israel-Iran conflict with her US counterpart, Marco Rubio, overnight, also raising another challenge, Australia's efforts to convince the US to stick with the AUKUS pact.
He's on record as having as understanding the importance of AUKUS.
The opposition has been calling on the Prime Minister to head to the NATO summit in the Netherlands next week to talk defence spending, the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East, and try and land a rescheduled meeting with Donald Trump.
If he meets with President Trump on the sidelines, that would be a bonus.
But Anthony Albanese has decided against the trip, sending his deputy, Richard Marles, instead. Tom Lowry, ABC News, Canberra.